This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The presentation of a draft legislation to regulate a cannabis industry in the Bahamas to Cabinet has been delayed by a few weeks. Attorney General Ryan Pinder telling reporters this much on Thursday at the office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. Cabinet was set to receive the draft last month. However, the AG says he anticipates that it will be presented this month.
By the end of this week, I hope to have the full benchmarking and comments on the legislation that the prior administration had attempted to do. And then we'll formulate that through law reform and get that in front of Cabinet. We're probably looking at April. To get in front of Cabinet. Yeah.
And the Progressive Liberal Party's Blueprint for Change presented on the campaign trail, the party promised to develop a comprehensive regulatory framework for growing, harvesting, and exporting cannabis so that the industry creates opportunities for many, not just a few. Additionally, Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs Clay Sweeting also said that the Family Islands would be ideal to support such an industry, namely the islands of Eleuthera, Andros, Abaco, and Grand Bahama. Police here in the capital looking into the circumstances surrounding an early morning traffic accident that claimed the life of a woman. Police reports indicating that sometime after 2 a.m. Friday, police were informed of a vehicle being engulfed in flames as a result of the traffic accident on Sir Myler Butler Highway. Initial investigations indicates that the vehicle was traveling north along Sir Myler Butler Highway when the driver lost control, collided into the median, and overturned onto the southern-bound lane. The vehicle came to a stop, and moments later, the flames were ignited. The fire service and traffic accident investigation team were dispatched. On their arrival, they found a white Kia Cerato overturned in the southbound lane and engulfed in flames. Police say they await the identification from a next of kin to confirm the victim's identity. Investigations into this matter is ongoing. In addition to addressing concerns about Bahamians cutting large areas of protected forests for landfill and development during the press briefing at the office of the Prime Minister, the Minister for the Environment and Natural Resources, Vaughn Miller, also addressed the issue of cutting pine trees to make coal, while senior forestry officers reveal just how much Crown land in Carmichael well fields have been destroyed, including the damage by Lincoln Bain and his team. Jarino Saunders has more.
Minister of Environment and Natural Resources Vaughn Miller's comments when asked about foreigners, mainly Haitians, cutting down pine trees is not sitting well with some Bahamians. On Thursday, the minister was asked by reporters about video on social media showing individuals, mainly immigrants from Haiti, illegally cutting pine trees in the Carmichael Road well fields and in the pine forest on Andros, Grand Bahama, and Abaco to produce coal.
We often label the Haitian community, and they're involved with that. But I want you to know, a lot of Bahamians are involved also with that. But it's a serious problem. It's a real challenge, and it's something that we have to deal with.
The minister's response, especially accusing and blaming Bahamians of cutting the forest to support a coal industry, irked many Bahamians, including Lincoln Bain, leader of the Coalition of Independents, who suggested that Minister Miller is pandering to his Golden Isles constituents who may be of Haitian descent. The Environment Minister was also asked how serious is the issue and if there have been any arrests or fines for individuals cutting the protected pine forest.
I can speak from since we were in office. I don't think anyone has been prosecuted that I'm aware of, but certainly we are aware of the increased presence in the forests in New Providence in particular, and this is our way of speaking to it publicly and to let the public know that what is going on is, unless they can prove otherwise, it is illegal, it is unlawful, and we want persons who may be interested in becoming involved to not become involved, and persons who are involved to cease and desist, and because we definitely will be taking whatever action that we deem necessary to take.
Earlier this week, Mr. Bain gave an invitation for Bahamians to join him in the start of a new coal production company off Carmichael Road. He says if the government refuses to stop migrants from destroying the forest to make coal, time will tell if they stop Bahamians from doing the same. Meanwhile, Senior Forest Officer in charge of the Forestry Unit, Danielle Hannock, shared how much of the forest on Carmichael Road has been decimated in recent months, including the area cleared by Mr. Bain and his team, which went viral. She again reminded us of the penalties that are on the books.
So we are currently in talks with the AG's office, also with the Royal Bahamas Police Force, to go after those who have harvested in those areas, because we could see that persons are actually putting up no trespassing signs. They are claiming that they purchased rights to the land. With all the departments, Department of Lands and Surveys, Department of Physical Planning, our department, Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, no one has a permit for any activity in these areas at all. So from the Lincoln Bain area that we saw, we went out there with Department of Lands and Surveys, we flew a drone, we were able to calculate about 8 acres of forests that were harvested, and we have a calculation of about just under 2,000 trees that were impacted. So when you times that out, that is the maximum fine that can be done, and penalties. We have been instructed by our minister to proceed with these research and to submit them to the police and the Attorney General's office.
It appears as if those individuals cutting the forest for coal and hills for landfill will be made to pay the price. Mr. Bain says his actions are not political and that he is simply trying to empower Bahamians. Meanwhile, Minister Miller says officers in the Forestry Department will become more vocal and visible as the investigations continue as they try to identify the culprits. Jurino Saunders, JCN News.
A lucky 26 people from across all islands of the Bahamas who strengthen the orange economy receiving a grant from the Bahamas Development Bank this morning. The goal of this $30,000 grant program is to provide videographers, musicians, photographers, and other artists with technology to improve the quality of their productions through the acquisition of professional computers. BDB Chairman Senator Quinton Lightbourne was on hand for the ceremony.
280 applicants from across the country. You represent the best of a very diverse area, sector in our country, including culinary, videography, music, photography, dance, and writing. This grant is the first of its kind by the Bahamas Development Bank, and it stems from the bank's renewed commitment and responsive financing that will lead and diversify the creative sector. It is certainly not the end of our support for this community. We have allocated funds for the further grants of the orange economy this year, and will be holding events to encourage discussion and in the interest of fostering collaborative advancement.
One recipient, Travis Miller, founder of Shift the Culture and ArrowLink Ventures, says that he's very grateful for this grant and his current equipment are outdated and he was in need of an upgrade.
Well, when I saw the grant opportunity pop up, it was a godsend, to be honest, because I already have devices, but they're getting up in age now, you know what I mean? So it does affect and hinder performance. And you know, as a creative, as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of things that you want to do, and performance is key. So when I saw the grant pop up, it was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. But not only for the sake of the device, but like just getting involved with the orange economy and just developing what the country's trying to do with individuals and creative, especially in a time like this where we need to get creative. We need to have more creative output. So I'm happy to be counted along with everybody else that won this award.
And how will this device help you? Like, what does your business entail, and how will it go a long way helping you?
Yeah, so definitely for production, from the creative side of things, developing websites and applications, but then also for production, for content, videos, streaming, events that we do, whether it might be pitch nights, or just creating content for individuals to consume and in the work and to collaborate with other creatives around the country.
Cache Knowles, founder of Isa Bahamian Bay, a Bahamas-inspired clothing line, tells us how this grant will help her business.
Oh my gosh, and the content creation and doing Zoom calls and being able to record them, that is not possible I use an iPad for all of my content creation and video editing, and it's just not the best option for what I do in terms of like editing and creating posts and making videos and content for my page, accounting, everything, literally in every aspect.
All successful applicants received a brand new MacBook Pro to improve the quality of their productions. A young Bahamian making strides in clinical pharmacy in Belfast, Northern Ireland, Nassau-born Chanel Jones spent most of her time growing up in the Turks and Caicos Islands. In 2010, she studied pharmacy at Kingston University and St. George's University Hospital in London before qualifying to graduate in 2015 and becoming a qualified pharmacist in 2016. Our news team was able to interview the Bahamian clinical pharmacist, and she speaks to how she came to choose this field.
When I was in high school, I liked biology and chemistry. I was pretty good at it, so that is what made me want to work in the medical field. At the time, I didn't know that I wanted to do pharmacy. It would take me until my A-level placement. In the end, I think what solidified all of that is my dad was ill. My sister, they were both ill. My sister, she almost lost sight in both of her eyes. And at the time, the only treatment available that the optometrist said was that she might have to have surgery on her eyes and she'll probably be blind. That's not the case now, because we saw another doctor, and the doctor, he just treated her with a course of steroids. That was my first brush with, you don't really need to have invasive treatment. You can treat patients conservatively with medicines.
Sadly, Mr. Jones, her father, passed away, but her sister's health returned. As a clinical pharmacist, Ms. Jones' job entails of obtaining comprehensive admission, medication histories of her patients, and determining which medicines are appropriate for the patient's condition and treatment plan. She also reviews the patient's medicine and provides clinical support by giving recommendations to doctors and nurses. Ms. Jones has worked across a wide variety of areas, including COVID wards, cardiology, acute and emergency medicine, and prison healthcare sections. When asked what Ms. Jones would say to young girls who may want to get into this particular field, she says this.
What I would say is nice about having a career as a pharmacist is that you actually get to decide the trajectory of your career, meaning that the possibility of how you can develop as a pharmacist and what area you can work in as a pharmacist is endless. Pharmacy is a rapidly developing profession where you can do more than just work in a hospital or work in a retail setting, so work in a community pharmacy. You have a whole range of career opportunities that include, teaching at a university, so lecturing. You can work in research, pharmaceutical manufacturing, government and policy making. You can work in the military, or you can even work for United Nations.
Ms. Jones emphasized that she enjoys that when you choose pharmacy, one can essentially pick what kind of job they wish to do. She aims every day to execute her work with the utmost care and diligence and hopes to hit more milestones along the way. Well, that does it for news this evening. Once again, I'm Leah Cooper, and from all of us here at JCN News, have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.